Erev Tov Rabotai, we are continuing with our Mishna Yomi, Masechet Sanhedrin. We are up to Perek Yud Mishnah Dalet. Today's Mishnayot should be Le'elui Nishmat, Neria ben Svetlana Ranbayev, Eliyahu ben Burchai Israelov, Chana bat Miriam, Sason ben Raya, and Yoshua ben Shifra, Menuchatam began Eden, Amen, and Avdir ben Chaim lechaim, v'derefua shenemav Daniel Shalom ben Rosa, betoch Shach Chulei Israel, and Achlama Merav Binyamin, Or Tzion Chai ben Dvorah. The Tana now returns to explaining the sins listed in chapter 9, Mishnah 1, which are punishable by beheading. The last case in that Mishnah is that of the corrupted town, the Ir Nidachat. This is a town in Eretz Yisrael that was corrupted by some of its residents who successfully persuaded the others to worship idols. Although other idol worshippers are executed by stoning, like it says in chapter 7, Mishnah 4, the idol worshippers of a corrupted town are executed by beheading. The laws regarding such a town appear in the book of Dvarim, chapter 13, verses 13 through 19. Since many of these verses will be quoted in the following Mishnayot, we will read the entire passage. If in one of your towns that Hashem your God gives you in which to live, you hear a report stating, lawless men have emerged from your midst and corrupted the inhabitants of their town, saying, let us go and worship the gods of others, gods that you have not known, you shall investigate, question, and ask thoroughly, and behold, it is true, the matter is correct, this abomination was done in your midst, you shall strike the inhabitants of that town by the sword, destroy it, and everything that is in it, and its animals with the edge of the sword, and you shall gather all its loot to within its square, and you shall completely burn in fire the town and all its loot to Hashem your God, and it shall remain an eternal heap, it shall not be built again. No part of the forbidden property may stick to your hand, so that Hashem will not turn back from his burning anger. Hashem will turn back from his burning anger, and he will grant you mercy and be merciful to you and multiply you as he swore to your forefathers when you listen to the voice of Hashem your God, to observe all his commandments that I command you today, to do what is right in the eyes of Hashem your God. The Mishnah begins, Anshe Ir Nidachat en lehem chelek la'olam haba, the inhabitants of a corrupted town have no share in the world to come. Shneimar, as it is stated in the book of Dvarim, chapter 13, verse 14, Yatzu anashim b'nei Bilial mikirbecha ve'edichu et yoshvei Hiram. Lawless men have emerged from your midst and corrupted the inhabitants of their town. The word Bilial, lawless, can be read Bliyal, those who will not rise, meaning they will not rise at the resurrection of the dead, which is followed by the world to come. Although this verse refers to those who corrupted the town, the same applies to the people whom they corrupted. Now the Mishnah's statement applies only to inhabitants who somehow escaped execution for the sin of worshipping idols. Those who were executed have a share in the world to come, because their execution and the decay of their bodies in the grave atone for their sins. The Mishnah lists 4 conditions that must be met in order for the town's residents to be treated as a member of a corrupted town. Ve'ena neragim, they are not beheaded as members of a corrupted town, ad shiyu madicheh me'otah ha'ir, unless those who corrupted the town are from that town, or me'otoh shevet, and they are from that tribe. Verse 14 states, lawless men corrupted the inhabitants of their town, making it clear that the corruptors live in the town. The verse also states that the lawless men have emerged from your midst, which implies that they are from the same group, meaning tribe, as those whom they corrupted. The ad shedichum anashim, and men corrupted it. Umeotoh shevet, and they are from that tribe. The ad sheyudach ruba, and most of the town was corrupted. The same verse states Yoshvei, the inhabitants of their town, which is interpreted as referring to most of the inhabitants. The ad shedichum anashim, and men corrupted it. The verse describes them as anashim, men, which excludes women and children, right? Women and children are excluded from the verse. However, if any of these conditions are not met, hidichu anashim uktani, meaning if a woman or child corrupted it, or shudach miuta, or only a minority of the town was corrupted, or shayu madicheh chutzala, or those who corrupted it were from outside the town or from a different tribe, hare elu kichidim, the idol worshippers are treated as individuals who worshipped idols, for whom the punishment is stoning. Also, the town and its property is not destroyed, as the Mishnah will say, and not as the members of a corrupted town, for whom the punishment is beheading. Furthermore, 2 witnesses and a warning are needed for each and every one, meaning each of the town's idol worshippers must have been seen by witnesses who testify against him in court, and he must have been warned before not to commit this sin. If the last 2 requirements, witnesses and warning, are not met, they are not executed at all, because a court does not punish a person unless 2 witnesses testify against him and he was warned. The Mishnah teaches that even though the inhabitants of a Ir HaNidachat are treated as a group, in some respects, each person is treated individually in regard to witnesses and the warning. This is the procedure that must be followed. Many courts of 23 judges are set up so that every inhabitant accused of idol worship can be tried separately and without delay. Those found guilty are held until it is known whether they form the majority of the town's inhabitants. If they are indeed the majority, they are taken to the great Sanhedrin of 71 judges in Jerusalem, which decides whether this town is Ir HaNidachat, where the idol worshippers are put to death by the sword and the town's property is destroyed. Only the great Sanhedrin can judge Ir HaNidachat, as we saw in chapter 1, Mishnah 5. If the idol worshippers are not the majority of the town's inhabitants, they are put to death by stoning and their property is spared. The Mishnah explains that there are 2 differences between the punishment of the inhabitants of a corrupted town and the punishment of other idol worshippers. The following is a stringency that applies only to individuals who worshipped idols rather than to the masses, meaning the inhabitants of a corrupted town who worshipped idols. Namely, that individuals are put to death by stoning, which is a harsh form of execution. Therefore, their property is spared. Meaning, since individuals receive the harsher punishment of stoning, they are treated leniently and that their property is not destroyed and may be passed on to their heirs. V'amrubim basayif lefichach mamonam aved. However, the masses, meaning the idol worshippers of a corrupted town, are put to death by the sword, beheaded, which is a lighter form of execution. Therefore, their property is destroyed. Since the manner of their execution is lighter, they are treated strictly in that their property is destroyed. The following reason has been suggested for why the Torah treats the people of Ir HaNidachat more leniently, but their property more stringently. When most of a town's inhabitants worship idols, each resident is influenced by his neighbors. Therefore, he is not as wicked as an individual who worshipped idols on his own. The inhabitants of the Ir HaNidachat therefore received the lighter form of execution. On the other hand, a person would not remain in a town of idolatrous people except for the sake of his property, meaning he does not want to abandon his house and other possessions. It is fitting, therefore, that his property be destroyed. And that is then of Mishnah Daled. Mishnah Hay learns laws from the verses in which the Torah commands that a corrupted town be destroyed. Hakeh takeh et v'gomer. It is stated in the book of Dvarim, chapter 13, verse 16, you shall strike the inhabitants of that town by the sword, etc. The words inhabitants of that town include even people who inhabit the town for a short time, meaning 30 days. Therefore, if a donkey caravan or a camel caravan, meaning a group of travelers leading donkeys or camels, is going from place to place and stays in a town for at least 30 days, the members of the caravan are counted together with the townspeople. As a result, if they did not worship idols, these travelers can save the town. By being counted together with the townspeople, they can raise the proportion of innocent people in the town to half or more of the total population. They would therefore save the town, because the law of a corrupted town does not apply unless most of its residents are guilty. As the previous Mishnah taught, a town does not become a Ir HaNidachat unless a majority of its inhabitants worshipped idols. Therefore, if the number of innocent travelers combined with the number of innocent residents equals or exceeds the number of guilty residents, the town is spared, meaning the town is not destroyed, but the idol worshippers are still put to death. For example, if a town had 100 permanent residents and 51 of them worshipped idols, the town would be condemned as Ir HaNidachat. However, if 10 innocent strangers were staying there, they would raise the total population to 110, making the 51 guilty people a minority. The reverse is also true. If only a minority of the town's regular inhabitants worshipped idols, but the travelers also did, and together they are a majority of the total population, the town is Ir HaNidachat. Now the Mishnah speaks only of the situation where the travelers are innocent and they save the town, because it is unlikely that travelers who have little connection with the townspeople would be swayed to idolatry by residents of the town. The passage continues, verses 16 through 17. Destroy it and everything that is in it, and you shall gather all its loot to within its square, etc. Mikan amru, based on this, the sages said, the property of the innocent people who do not worship idols that is in the town is destroyed. And their property that is outside the town is spared. But the property of the guilty, whether it is in the town or outside the town, is destroyed. The words everything that is in it teaches that all the property found inside the town must be destroyed, even if it belongs to an innocent person. And the words you shall gather all its loot teaches that all the property of the guilty must be destroyed, even if it is outside the town. Although the people who did not worship idols are not executed, anything belonging to them that is located in the town must be burned. And the Gemara on page 112a in Sanhedrin explains that since they remain in this town for idolatrous people for the sake of their property, meaning they did not want to abandon their houses and other possessions, their property is destroyed. And that is the Rabotai of today's Mishna Yomi. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen v'amen.